Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Korea back again. I hope you're all safe and fine. Today we're going to talk a little bit about recycling. So first thing, just to remind you, what I want you to tell me, what do you actually do? What is rubbish? What is rubbish? So rubbish is everything that you throw away and no longer have a use for. So all things that you don't need actually is all rubbish. Like the junk over there. Sometimes rubbish can also be called waste. Who creates rubbish? Who creates that rubbish? Think about it. We do. We create rubbish. Rubbish is very harmful for our planet. Now, if we don't do something about the rubbish, do something to reduce this rubbish, our planet is going to end up just looking like this. I don't think that would be a very pleasant sight. And I don't think you would like to see your street or your house filled with rubbish all over. So what do we do with this rubbish? We recycle it. A very important word, recycle. So means we need to segregate it and throw it in the bin very, very sensibly. What does that actually mean is recycle means when we do something with the rubbish that it can be used again. The reason why recycling refers to using old or used products that are turned into new products instead of being thrown away so that we can make use of things again and again rather than wasting it. So we are taking the same old products, washing it, cleaning it, making different things out of it. Okay, so that's called recycling. Like your plastic bottles, they recycle means they reuse it till they can actually completely get destroyed and thrown away. Things that can be recycled, that's paper, cardboard. Okay, so all your cardboard papers. If you remember in the classroom, we have a red color bin, which is a recycling bin where we put in all your paper, your cardboard, your pencil shavings, okay, because it comes from wood. Plastic also can be recycled. Metals such as cans, your tins of beans, okay, that can be recycled. Glass such as bottles and jars, clothes, garden waste and food, they all can be recycled and reused. Now, how do we recycle food? Okay, such as apple cores and leftovers. What do we do with that food? That food is when thrown away, it's collected in a rubbish bin, in a very special rubbish bin, okay? And they use it as manure, use it for plants to help grow better. After we know what is recycling, we have to know what is the process of recycling. How does actually people do recycling? So recycling, if you see, we've got bins and we've got this recycling big machine which comes or on a special day to pick up your rubbish. So all of a sudden one morning you get up and you see this big van, or sometimes you see your rubbish is vanished, but actually it is collected by these big vans, like the rubbish vans. And so when we take our rubbish and throw it in the bin, these vans come and collect it and they take it to a special place which is called the recycling depot. Now recycling depot is a big place where all this rubbish is collected. The bottles which can be recycled are separated from the rubbish by people and machines, or a mix of both. So you've got machines that actually separate the bottles and tins and things that can be recycled, okay, and they separate it so then they can be used further. What happens next? Now, after the materials have been sorted, they are sent for reprocessing factory to be recycled and made into new products. In the reprocessing factory, the plastic bottles are washed because you can't use them unwashed. They are washed properly. Then they are passed through a special light, a red light, which is called the infrared. Now, the infrared light checks what kind of plastic it is because there are different types of plastic. If you see, your water bottle plastic might be different from the yogurt plastic pot. So every plastic is different, and based on that, they have to separate it. So it's not easy to separate. So they pass it through the special light called the infrared. Once that is done, it is sorted depending on the colors. Okay, so brown color, blue color, green color, or a natural color, and they are separated and sorted into different colors. Then the bottles are passed through a shredder. A shredder cuts this into tiny bits. If you see that, they're very, very tiny bits. So it's passed through that and it's cut into, because they're not going to use the same bottle again, but they're going to change and make it into something new so that it can be used again. So the bottles are shredded into this shredding machine. So the bottles go in through there and it gets crushed and broken down into tiny pellets. Okay. Now the shredded bottles, if you see, it's passed through this machine. Now this machine has got two hot wires. Can you see these two hot wires at the side? The red ones. It heats it. And because when it's heated to a certain temperature, it starts becoming into liquid and it starts to melt. Okay, so the shredded machine bottles are then melted, and when they're melted, shredded, they form into pellets. Okay, pellets are tiny, tiny pieces. Okay, they're formed into this tiny little pieces. New items. So once they form into pellets, they are then transformed into new things like plastic bags, or they're used for to make containers, or used for plastic fencing. Okay, so they're used for different other things as well. Plastic recycling. Why do we need to recycle? Recycle helps us to use less raw materials. So when we recycle, we don't have to make every time everything new. But so it's easier to recycle it. Reduces landfill. If you had seen the picture which I showed you, the rubbish lying on the floor on the streets, this one, it avoids all the rubbish lying littered all around our streets. So it helps in reducing that rubbish being littered everywhere. Okay? And then what happens when plastic or rubbish is lying everywhere? It creates very, very bad gases. And these gases are very harmful for us on the earth, on planet Earth. It affects the plants, the trees, the animals, and then it affects us. They use a special arrow to say recycling. If you see this green arrow, it's saying recycling. So every time we throw our rubbish, these special people collect the rubbish and then afterwards they recycle it. They sort it, they pass it through machines, they color code it and make it into pellets, and once they're made into pellets, they're made into tiny new objects which can be used. Now, what your task is, these are sentences which I have mentioned. The shredded pieces are melted, pellets are formed, any rubbish is sorted from the bottles. The bottles are cleaned by machine, new items like carrier bags and more plastic bottles are made. The bottles are shredded into pieces. What I need you to do is arrange them in the right order. So I want you to go back to the video or go back to the PowerPoint, check the order that how is recycling taking place. In what order? What do they do first? They sort it. And then what do they do? When they separate it, they pass it through the infrared lights. They pass it through a machine called the shredder. So write a sentence, copy these sentences and make a sequence and then draw a picture. So you can always go back. I don't want a perfect picture, but I want you to try and make me understand what happens in the recycling process. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about recycling, which is very, very important. Till then, take care, year 2, and have a great day. Bye-bye.